tó bá jẹ́ tìwé ni mo kàwé o mo ti ń sìn yín bọ̀ ọjọ́ ti pẹ́ ẹgbẹ́ kìíní wá Emi Lokan. Emi Lokan.
Ọba jẹ́ sí ìwé ni mo kàwé, mi ò ti ríṣẹ́ lálẹ́, ilé ayé ò ti bàjẹ́, jọ́ torí Ọlọ́run máa gbàgbé, God, don't forget me, ṣọ̀rọ̀ tí mi then please send me, opportunity to help me to move forward in my Olúwa ọgbọ́ kígbe, dúra mi ti gbà, mo ti ṣe yíbọ ọjọ́ ti pẹ́, ẹgbẹ́ kìíní wá Emi Lokan, mo ń fàṣẹ gidi gan. Now I really know it's my turn. You know I'm the chosen one. Orun who ojo tito. The sun has come. No more clouds. The rain has stopped. Emi Lokan, yeah, Emi Lokan. Mon fashe gidi gan. Now I really know it's my turn. You know I'm the chosen one. Orun who ojo tito. The sun has come. No more clouds. The rain has stopped. Emi Lokan. I was getting treated like a poor.
Hello viewers, welcome to Emi Lokan, which translates to English as my turn. It's a Yoruba phrase. What is Emi Lokan? Don't pigeonhole this as you're going along, like as you view it. Like a lot of people may see the content that's being released or whatever and then instantly jump to, oh, this is a podcast, oh, this is an interview, oh, this is a show, this is a, I don't know, whatever it is in a YouTube channel. But I like to call this a platform forum. So it's a new type of content that I conceived, a new type of medium. And why do I call it that? Well, as I was coming up with the idea, I knew that it didn't fit into one strata, like it was all encompassing. It wasn't just meant to be some video content. It could expand into many things. Certain things I'll keep close to chest, maybe like live streams and live shows and so on and so forth, like certain things you wouldn't expect. But overall, what is a platform? A platform is, in terms of, in this context or the context I'm using it, it's literally a level, it's a space where people can express something. What is a forum? A forum is a place where people ask questions and can collate ideas, and whatnot. So I call it a platform forum because it's meant to be a space where people can come together, ask questions, collate ideas, rub shoulders, and just a place where iron can sharpen iron. Not just me, myself, but even with the guests that I'm going to interview and you, the viewers. And I want it to be very encompassing. Let me even get out my iPad and talk a little bit more about this. So the purpose of Emi Lokan is networking. So obviously networking with interesting guests, people who are doing things in whatever industry or field they're in, who have a certain degree of access or resources or influence or whatever. Strategy, obviously in life we come across many dilemmas, many problems, and in order to solve them you need to come up with a strategy, which is also hence the chessboards. Psychoanalysis as well. I guess psychoanalysis is more of a psychology therapy term in terms of understanding why people make certain decisions through analyzing their psyche and their past and whatnot. So it's meant to be therapeutic, not only for myself, for the guests, for you, the viewers, but also I wanted to expand that term psychoanalysis to talk about understanding how people think, even through the algorithms they use while playing chess and how they've kind of charted their success or even come back from the brink of whatever. Improving critical thinking skills, which goes back to psychoanalysis, deductive reasoning, etc., etc. Yeah, improving my ability to play chess. I like playing chess. Chess was something that I'll come on to, but has been tantamount to helping me getting through a difficult period of life. And then generating revenue down the line, hopefully. And then also just being able to kind of move thought and ideas forward, if that makes sense. Create a loyal community of like-minded thinkers, right? Coming back to chess, I've been playing chess from a young age. I think I properly learnt the rules in terms of the basic rules from about 10 years old in primary school. I'm pretty sure it was a friend of mine's mum who taught me the rules kind of in a comprehensive enough manner to play. And I played since then, throughout school, secondary school, whatever, sixth form, university, even now, well, whatever. But there was a difficult point in my life where maybe, I say a couple years ago, from about a couple years ago, where things just weren't going my way. I'll probably elaborate as time progresses, but I'd been in positions like that before. Even 5 years ago, there were things that happened that made me have to kind of re-strategize, reroute the path that the trajectory I was on. But I concluded that the problem, the rut that I was in, the kind of quagmire, the crucible that I was in, it wasn't due to one singular decision, if that makes sense. Sometimes you can be like, oh yeah, if this didn't happen, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids, you know what I mean, that type of thing. But it wasn't a single decision, it was my decision-making process. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, this is not me doing this thing. I may think, oh, this is just a bad decision or whatever, I should have just changed this. But it's like, no, there's a train of thought, there's a way of thinking that is causing this. Like, let's say anybody that's coded or done like proficient in computer languages, you'll know that you have to create algorithms before you make like functions and stuff like that. And there's a certain way that learning computer languages to a proficient degree teaches you to think and teaches you to approach life. So I needed to kind of sharpen my critical thinking skills in order to make it past that crucible, by the grace of God and by providence and whatnot, and making good decisions. I'm in a better position than I was. I'm in a much better position. There's still work to be done, but I'm in a much more stable place. And chess has been one of the things that helped me realize that, you know what, it's not personal, Jimmy. Chess is a two-player game. You may have an opponent. Oftentimes in life, you have entities, whether it's actual individual people or whether it's, I don't know, systems and structures that are in your way that are opposing you. And you have to think of a way to outsmart them, whether it be to overcome them, let me say, whether it be through brute force, whether it be through shrewdness, but you need a strategy. You can't, more often than not, you can't just like half-ass it. Even when you're playing games, you need to come up with a combo when you're playing fighting games and whatnot, if that makes sense. So chess was a perfect thing of, okay, this is the opponent I'm facing. Another thing that I love about chess is that it's not personal. There's a saying nowadays that a lot of young people use, gabos. The game ain't based on sympathy. And it's really not. A lot of things in life, it's not really based on sympathy. Sometimes you're going to have to charge it to the game. You may think, wow, this person has this and I don't have this, or this person is born with whatever, adornments or endowments or whatever, strength or height or whatever. Chess is just about how well can you think. You polish it up. It doesn't care about your feelings. And that's more often than not what life is based on. Yeah, most of the successful people in life, they've been very intentional in terms of the types of decisions they've made. They haven't stumbled into success. And if they have, more often than not, they haven't been able to maintain it, if that makes sense. So this is why I made that term. Even coming on to, I guess it's a good segue. There may be some of you that are Nigerian, Yoruba. You may be familiar with the term Emi Lokan. It was the current president, as of December 2024. Bola Ahmed Tinubu's one of his catchphrases. Now, Tinubu himself, for example, may not be somebody who is popular in the Nigerian consciousness, so to say. And some people may have may receive negative connotations just from the name. But the aim of this platform is not to be a moral arbitrator. Obviously, there's some things that I'm not going to espouse and I'm not going to give credence to or platform to just off the strength of my own personal beliefs and whatnot. But it's not meant to be like, let's say, for example, a religious thing. I'm not to say that I wouldn't get religious people on there, but it's not meant to spew any sort of propaganda. It's literally meant to be pragmatic thinking to find a way, the quickest way to success, if that makes sense. So for example, with like Tinubu, whether you like him or hate him, he has made decisions to become the president of Nigeria, if that makes sense, to become the recognized head of state of a country. And I was thinking of different names for this. I thought of with the chess view, maybe 5 moves ahead, 10 steps ahead, 10 moves ahead. And just from a, let's say, an intellectual property place and whatnot, and even just the catchiness of it, I was like, I don't know if this is going to bang. And then even my turn could even be something, but even that is going to be something that is, it's not distinct, but the words Emi Lokan, as soon as you hear it, it's striking. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And that's how I literally felt. I was like, yeah, this is my turn. I've experienced a lot of setbacks in this life, whether you know me personally or whether you know me from afar or whatever. I've experienced a lot of setbacks, and a lot of people may have a perspective of those or of me that is very skewed, to say the least. Like, if that makes sense, if people had to walk in my shoes for a year or even a month, I'm sure that they'd be able to understand that, okay, yeah, this is not somebody who you can just typecast or pigeonhole as, let's say, a bad person. But in order to even overcome those setbacks, because certain times it was just a case of, let's say, people seeing me as, I don't know, the antagonist or whatever. But I had to learn to play the game. And I realized that the game wasn't about, certain times it wasn't even about good or bad. It was about wise and foolish. And that's what chess is about. Who is going to make the smarter decision, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'm pretty versed in, like, let's say, the Bible. And like I said, it's not meant to be some religious propaganda, but it's something that the scriptures say. The Bible says the children of this age are shrewder than the children of light, if that makes sense. So you have to be shrewd in this life. You have to be, even Jesus Christ himself, for example, like, said, be shrewd as serpents, if that makes sense. So that is the overall aim. Like I said, that doesn't mean that you may hear me on this platform maybe quote the Quran or the Hadith or the Buddha or something, or the Sanskrit or the Vedas, sorry, at a point. But it's just about the type of thinking that optimizes and brings about the best results. Cool. Now, coming on to chess, I'm going to do a little bit of a brief story about chess for this intro. So what is chess? Chess is a 2-player game. It's a very strategy, cerebral-based game with 2 sets. You've got a checkered board, black and white squares, or in this case, black and grey. With 2 sides, obviously, you see a set of white pieces and a set of black pieces. Sometimes there's colour variation. And each checker on the board, each square, represents a position. There are 64 squares on the board, right? Each player has 16 pieces, 8 by 8, and 16 pieces, 8 pieces on one line of the grid. The white starts first, the black starts second. In subsequent videos, you're going to see me do that coin tosses, just for the sake of fairness, if that makes sense. And going back to the fairness thing, overall in chess, there's not really an advantage that anybody has apart from being a better player. Maybe there's a negligible advantage of starting first or starting second. You have the same amount of time, you have the same increment and whatnot, same amount, same pieces, same amount. You just have to think about, how can I outsmart my opponent, right? I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction of the pieces as well. Like I said, you have 16 pieces, varying to 1 copy of each piece to 8 copies of each piece. I don't know what to call them, but 16 types of pieces. The first one we'll start from is the one in the front layer. The one in the front, the pawn. So chess is a game of military strategy, right? I'll come on to the history of chess maybe in another episode and how it developed. But the pawn is effectively the infantryman, right? Some people may call it cannon fodder, right? Pawn is used in a lot of analogies in the world in terms of whatever, but it's the weakest piece. But sometimes it can be the most advantageous. It can move one square at a time. Under normal circumstances, it moves forward. On the first move, it can move 2 squares at a time. I may come on to that in another segment. And it captures diagonally, right? Normally, it captures like a piece that which is diagonally in front of it, like this. And it takes that position, the position of that piece. But there's one move which it can do special, which is called en passant, where it doesn't need to capture that piece which is in the position it was in. But we'll come on to that another time. It also has a special quality called promotion, which is what happens when it gets to the enemy flank, the behind enemy lines to let's say line number 8 on the grid, or line number 1 if it's the black pieces, and it gets promoted to any piece of its choice apart from the king, and I'll come on to the king. So it could become a rook, a knight, a bishop, or a queen. Yeah, I'll leave that at that for now. If there's anything else, I'll bring up again. You've got yeah. You've got the rook. Some people call it the castle, but the technical name for it is the rook. The rook can move to any free square, either forwards or sideways. It can't move diagonally, so it can move any amount of spaces. Obviously, it can't move to the position of its own pieces, but it can capture other pieces. So it could move from like here to here and capture this point. The rook is a very powerful piece. It's probably, in terms of power, it's probably the second most powerful piece behind the queen, if that makes sense. It's kind of it's like your tank. that just came to me now. You know how in war you have like ground soldiers, but then you have tanks and they just bulldoze past, they fire heavy artillery and whatnot, if that makes sense. Then you have the knights, right? Obviously in medieval times you would have like knights, and knights were like your seasoned soldiers. Like before you were a knight, I think you would be like a squire or something, if that makes sense. But the knights are your like seasoned soldiers. Even in modern times, in like British British culture, like to be knighted, to be given the rank of a knight, you win like you've obtained like something of the British Empire, MBE, OBE, Order of the British Empire, and you'd get Sir in front of your name. Sir Alex Ferguson, I don't know, do you get it? If that makes sense. These are people who have merit, and there's a certain level of elegance and grace that comes with that merit, which is represented in the way it moves. Knights don't move like any of the other chess pieces. They move in L's, so they can move in any direction, 2 squares one way and 1 square another way. So they can go 2 squares forward and 1 square sideways. They move in L's, 2 squares sideways, 1 square forward, and whatnot. And they're the only pieces that can jump over other pieces, their own pieces. Well, both sets of pieces. They capture by taking a specific position, but they can move in any way. So a knight could capture a pawn like this. A knight doesn't even have to be directly in front of a piece to threaten it. A knight could checkmate, or could check the king like this, and I'll come on to what check is, but it could check the king by being in this position. Then you have the bishops. Bishops are probably my favorite piece. Well, the piece, apart from the queen, but like the piece that I like to utilize. They move diagonally, and then they're like the rooks, but they move diagonally. They can move diagonally in any direction, and they go diagonally anywhere. But the only thing about bishops is that, for example, the bishops that start on the black squares can never get onto white squares because they only move diagonally, and vice versa. The bishops that start on white squares can never move onto black squares. I think I'll leave the king till the end. So obviously you have 8 pawns, you have 2 rooks, you have 2 knights, you have 2 bishops. Then you've got what I would say is the most powerful piece on the board, the queen. Why the queen can move in any direction, apart from obviously it can't move like the knight in like L's, or it can only move in one direction at a time, and any amount of squares, apart from if it's the squares occupied by its own piece. So it can move. Let me just show you the queen for a few seconds. It can move forwards this way and threaten another queen by being here. It can move sideways this way. It can also move diagonally. Right. Most of the time, when a pawn is promoted to another piece, most of the time it's going to be promoted to a queen. There's instances where it won't, maybe to prevent a stalemate or a draw or something else, or like just somebody being fancy and whatnot. Then you have, if the queen is the most important piece, I mean the most powerful piece, you have the most important piece, which is the king. Why is the king the most important piece? Because the aim of chess is something called checkmate. A checkmate is when your king or your opponent's king is threatened by another piece or another set of pieces, and it has no possible moves left before capture. So it could be a checkmate, could be something like I don't know, a rook being here, and I don't know, something like a queen being here. Yeah. So this position, for example, that you see here is a checkmate because if any direction the white king moves, it will be captured by a rook, a queen, or a rook, if that makes sense. And like I said, chess is a game of military strategy. In most wars, once you capture or eliminate the enemy leader, you've won. For example, just in recent times, the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad, he was forced to flee Syria and go to Russia, and officially, I guess the Syrian war has ended because the revolution has been able to oust his regime, if that makes sense. Even going back to the days of even like 1066 with the Battle of Hastings, when Norman the Conqueror's army shot King Harold, whatever it was, I think his name was Harold, when he got shot with an arrow through the eye. That was it. A Frenchman became the King of England. I think it's Harold Saxon or something, I don't remember, but you viewers can comment. But yeah, that's the aim. And like I said, going back to opposition in life, oftentimes it's like you have a certain set of pieces and you have a certain set of resources at your disposal. Sometimes you're going to lose pieces as you go along. You're going to lose pawns, you're going to lose knights, you may lose a queen and may be in a disadvantaged position, if that makes sense. But you have to be able to strategize with the resources, tools, people, allies at your disposal, at your assistance, to come out on top. And that's what I love about chess. Summary, Emi Lokan. It's my turn to play chess, but my turn to make it to the top. Let's see where we can get to with this.
You know me, Emi Lokan. Success plenty for Lokan. Success plenty for Lokan. Emi Lokan. Mon fâché gidi gan. Now I really know it's my turn. You know I'm the chosen one. Orumu ojo tita. The sun has come. No more clouds, the rain has stopped. Emi Lokan. Yeah, Emi Lokan. Mon fâché gidi gan. Now I really know it's my turn. You know I'm the chosen one. Orumu ojo tita. The sun has come. No more clouds, the rain has stopped. Emi Lokan. Yeah. Egbe kini wa. Egbe kini wa. Egbe. Ekujo meta. Ekujo meta. Eshe. Egbe kini wa. Egbe kini wa. Egbe. Ekujo meta. Ekujo meta. Eshe goni.